June of 2014, something happened near Tikrit, Iraq, something terrifying and far too real. Checkpoint 27 was nothing more than a few sandbags, metal barriers, and 4 exhausted Iraqi soldiers trying to stop a war with their bare hands. That week, ISIS had already taken Mosul. Tikrit was next. Everyone knew it, especially the men on the ground. Farid Hassan was barely 20, just a boy, handed a dusty AK and told to guard a road where death came fast and silent. Car bombs, suicide trucks, disguised fighters. He'd seen the aftermath, burned bodies, shattered glass, screams echoing long after the smoke cleared. So, on the morning of June 18th, when a white van came rolling toward their post around 6:15 a.m., something felt off. It wasn't just the van. It was the way the driver smiled, too polite, too calm for a man in a war zone. He said he was delivering medical supplies to a rural clinic. Claimed he worked for the Ministry of Health. But there were no markings on the van, no logo, no plates, just a filthy, sun-bleached box on wheels. When Corporal Adil asked to inspect the back, the man got defensive, said the cargo was sterile. "If you open it," he insisted, "you'll contaminate everything." That was the first red flag. Adil asked for ID. The driver said it was in the glove box. When they opened it, it was empty, no license, no documents, just dust and a single folded tissue. Farid took a step closer to the van and noticed something that stopped him cold. The keys weren't in the ignition, but the engine was still running. There was no push start button, no key fob, just a humming engine with no way to turn it off. Farid locked eyes with Adil. Neither said a word, but they both felt it, that sick electric charge that runs up your spine when your body knows something before your brain does. Adil signaled silently. The driver was pulled from the vehicle, detained. No resistance now, just sweat pouring down his face like he knew it was over. 15 minutes later, the EOD, bomb disposal, team arrived. They sent in the robot first. Everyone stood back, silent, guns raised, fingers shaking on triggers. When the robot opened the rear doors, the truth fell out. 3 large yellow propane tanks, each wired to a pressure switch and surrounded by hundreds of rusted nails. Fertilizer packs, date cord, a crude phone trigger. The entire van was a bomb, one that would have torn through the checkpoint like paper. If they had let that man drive just 10 minutes more, it would have reached a government building just as staff were arriving. Casualties? Hundreds, maybe more. But here's the part that haunts Farid most. The van was set to detonate not just by remote, but also by time and distance. That's right, a GPS-triggered device, meaning if they hadn't stopped it in time, it would have gone off the moment it reached a designated zone. That driver, he wasn't a fighter. He'd been paid in cash to deliver a sealed medical load. Promised more money when it was done. He didn't even know what he was carrying, or so he claimed. The bomb team called it one of the most sophisticated traps they'd seen that month. 1 of 7. Not all of them were caught in time. Some made it through, some exploded. And the only reason this one didn't was because a 20-year-old soldier trusted his gut. No ghosts, no supernatural whispers, just the horror of what real human beings are capable of. They called it just another incident. Filed, buried, forgotten. But Farid never forgot, and when he hears a van pass outside his window now, back home, far from the war, he still checks for keys in the ignition, because he knows something most people don't. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's inside the van, it's what would have happened if you hadn't looked. In late 2013, the Syrian city of Aleppo had become a ghost town. Buildings were rubble. Schools were gone. Hospitals bombed to dust. The streets were empty, except for the silence. That eerie, heavy silence you only find after everything else has died. But in one corner of the city, a boy was found. He was no older than 6 or 7, barefoot, dust covering his hair and face. No visible injuries, just walking. Alone. He didn't speak, didn't cry, didn't ask for food or water. He just wandered through the wreckage like a shadow. 2 Syrian aid workers spotted him near what used to be a residential block in Al Fardous district. He didn't run or resist. When they called out to him, he just stared at them like he wasn't seeing them at all. When they brought him back to their mobile triage tent, he still said nothing. He flinched at sudden noises, wouldn't let anyone get too close, and whenever a plane passed overhead, he'd curl into a ball and cover his ears, shaking. They tried everything. Arabic, Kurdish, even English. He wouldn't respond to anything. He didn't even tell them his name. They offered food. He refused. They wrapped him in a blanket. He sat in the corner, rocking slowly, just staring at the entrance. One nurse said he didn't even blink for several minutes. For over 12 hours, the boy remained silent, until finally, just once, he whispered. His voice was thin, hoarse, barely a breath. He said, "The building fell," and they screamed. That was all, no more words. That same night, one of the aid workers, a 28-year-old volunteer named Samir, decided to retrace the boy's steps. He followed the child's footprints backward through the dust-covered streets, navigating bombed intersections and shattered concrete. Roughly 600 meters away, he came across what had once been an apartment block. Now, just a pile of broken stone, rebar, and crushed dreams. Neighbors said it had been hit in an airstrike 5 days ago. No survivors had been reported, but Samir climbed through the wreckage anyway. He didn't find bodies, at least not intact ones. But in what was once a bedroom, he spotted something. A red school backpack, partially torn but still zipped shut. Inside was a notebook, smudged but legible. And on the inside front page, a name, the boy's name, the one he never spoke. That's when the truth hit Samir like a punch to the chest. The child had survived the blast, survived the death of his family, survived 5 days alone, with no food, no water, nothing but the sound of shifting rubble and the cold. And then he walked, barefoot, through a war zone, through ash, through blood, through silence, until someone finally noticed him. Doctors later called it dissociative shock, a mental shutdown common in young survivors of extreme trauma. It's the brain's way of protecting itself by turning off emotion. The boy was eventually taken to a shelter near the Turkish border. He never spoke again. No one ever came looking for him. No relatives, no neighbors, no paperwork. He became just another child of war, another face without a name. And when the volunteers tried to register him, there was only one entry they could file. Unidentified minor, found wandering, no known family, no known language. The boy is likely still alive today, but to this day, no one knows who he was, or what exactly he saw in those 5 days, trapped beneath the ruins of his home. And maybe no one ever will. It was supposed to be just another boring weekday. July 13th, 2011. Mumbai, India. Monsoon rains had soaked the city. Streets were muddy, traffic was brutal, and Akash Mehta, a 24-year-old data entry clerk, was running late from work again. It was nearly 7 p.m. when he finally left the office. He pushed through crowds, dodging puddles, cursing the humidity under his breath. All he wanted was to catch bus 97 and get home before the power cut again. He got lucky. Just as he reached the bus stop at Dadar West, bus 97 pulled in. He jumped on, drenched in sweat and rainwater, and found a window seat near the middle. He didn't notice anything unusual at first until he looked across the aisle. There was a man sitting there, mid-40s maybe, unshaven, pale, wearing a dark green jacket, even though it was warm. He was hunched over, gripping a black backpack tightly, like it was the most important thing in the world. Something about him felt off. Akash couldn't put his finger on it. Maybe it was how the man kept glancing around, whispering under his breath. Maybe it was how his knuckles were white from holding that bag. Whatever it was, it sent a chill through Akash that the rain couldn't explain. But he didn't say anything. It's Mumbai. Everyone's weird, everyone's tired. The bus moved along. 2 stops passed. Then, without warning, the man stood up. Quick, like he'd made a decision. He walked toward the door and stepped off, but he left the backpack behind. Akash blinked. "Excuse me, sir," he called out, half standing. "Your bag." But the man didn't turn around. He didn't even hesitate. Just walked off into the sea of umbrellas and headlights and was gone. Now Akash was left staring at the backpack. No one else seemed to notice. No one else cared. It was just him and this forgotten black bag, sitting across from him like a silent threat. His stomach turned. He thought, should I open it? Should I move it? Should I tell the conductor? But before he could act, his phone buzzed. News alert. Breaking. Explosions reported at Zaveri Bazaar. Another. Second blast confirmed at Opera House. A third. Blast near Dadar West bus stop. Casualties unknown. That's when Akash realized. The stop where that man got off. That was the same location as the third bombing. He stared at the backpack again, but it was gone. There was nothing on the seat. Akash stood up, looking around, confused. Had someone moved it? Did the conductor take it? He asked, but no one had seen anything. He got off at the next stop, went home in a daze. His clothes were still damp, but he barely noticed. Later that night, as he sat in his dark apartment watching the news, he saw a face. One of the bombing suspects, and it was him. The man from the bus. Same face, same jacket, same haunted eyes, but then something didn't make sense. According to police, that man, the suspected bomber, had died in the Zaveri Bazaar explosion. The first explosion. That blast happened at 6:54 p.m., but Akash had seen the man on bus 97 at 6:59, 5 minutes after he was already dead. He thought maybe it was a mistake, maybe it was someone else, but no, he knew what he saw. He went to the police, showed them his bus ticket, tried to explain. They dismissed him, told him he was probably shaken up. Mistaken identity, stress, but Akash couldn't shake it. He knew what he saw. Eventually, he convinced a friend who worked transit security to help him check the CCTV footage from bus 97. And that's when everything got worse. They watched the tape. Akash was there, plain as day, sitting in his seat by the window. But the seat across from him, it was empty. No man, no backpack, nothing. Just Akash, sitting alone, staring at an empty seat like he was watching someone who didn't exist. He watched it 3 times, 4, 5, same result. That man, the one who left the backpack, the one Akash knows he saw, never appeared on the footage. After that night, Akash stopped taking buses altogether. He walks now, no matter the weather, no matter how late. And to this day, he still asks himself the same question. Did he really see a man who was already dead? Or did something else ride bus 97 that night?